pig meal.
CNN Travel Guide, weekends on CNN International.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Hello, this is John Holliman at CNN Center, welcoming our viewers in the United States and all around the world. The shuttle Atlantis is streaking through the skies over southern Oregon and northern California at this moment, 3 minutes away from landing at Edwards Air Force Base. Two of the three auxiliary power units aboard have been turned on and are operating to help the pilot, Kevin Chilton, and Commander Rick Searfoss steer the shuttle to a landing on runway 22 at Edwards. You can see it has made its final turn to landing now. This will have the shuttle coming in basically from south to north on the runway. Final minutes of landing will be interesting since there's concern about the power units and the possible lack of a backup power unit if something happens to the two systems that are designed to land the ship. Commander Chilton is completing a left turn to line up with the runway right now. You can see that left turn in progress. During this mission, the shuttle crew has accomplished a lot. When it left more than 9 days ago, there were 6 crew members aboard, but the crew is now only 5. The major task of the trip to drop off astronaut Shannon Lucid aboard Russia's Mir space station, orbiting more than 240 miles above the Earth.
Runway inside Houston.
Astronaut and now cosmonaut Lucid.
210 at 5 knots.
They're telling the commander what the winds are like on the runway, only 5 knots, which is very good because the shuttle needs calm winds to land at this point. Astronaut and now cosmonaut Lucid may be in our audience for this landing coverage today. We got a call from the Russian Space Agency saying that that agency wanted to make sure CNN International was carrying the landing today, and they have the capability to broadcast it live to Mir.
Will soon be flaring up Atlantis' nose to bleed off any excess energy prior to the dropping of the landing gear by pilot Rick Searfoss.
We'll watch to see the landing gear come down. By the way, CNN will be talking with Shannon Lucid in her first interview from Mir next Wednesday. It'll happen at 9:35 Eastern Time, which is 14:35 GMT. Another major part of the mission this week was a spacewalk by astronauts Linda Godwin and Rich Clifford, who were outside Mir for about 6 hours. Payload Commander Ron Sega was in charge of managing the spacewalk and the unloading of more than 2 tons of supplies taken from the Space Hab in Atlantis' cargo bay
flare up the nose
and moved on to Mir. There comes the landing gear. It was something that there was some concern about earlier. Wanted to make sure that landing gear would come down. We're just seconds from touchdown right now. We'll watch the last couple of seconds before landing. You can see the sun coming up over the Mojave Desert behind the shuttle.
Main gear touchdown. Pilot Rick Searfoss now deploying the drag chute. Nose gear touchdown. Atlantis now rolling out on runway 22 at Edwards Air Force Base to wrap up a 3.8 million mile mission to establish a permanent U.S. presence in space.
As Atlantis touches down, it has been around the world 144 times. It has traveled 3.8 million miles, most of that in space, and has been away from this planet for 9 days, 5 hours, 15 minutes, and 37 seconds. Doesn't look too much the worse for wear. NASA plans its next shuttle mission to lift off on May the 17th. That will be Shuttle Endeavour, which will go up for 9 days. We'll listen to
Welcome back, Atlantis. Congratulations on successfully delivering Shannon and also completing the first approach and landing from the new Mission Control Center.
It sure feels good to be home, Bill, and well, appreciate all your help. I'd hate to be in Phil Engelhoff's shoes. It's going to be tough to pick the person to hang the plaque on this mission. Great work.
Hey, Houston, Atlantis, APU number 3 is coming off.
All right, the astronauts are down safe and sound. CNN will continue its coverage of Shannon Lucid's mission aboard Mir for the 5 months she's there. That ends our coverage of the landing of Space Shuttle Atlantis, which from all we could tell was flawless. John Holliman, CNN reporting.
This has been CNN International Breaking News.
For a complete look at today's Wimbledon men's final and all the day's sports news, I'm Jerome Jurenovich.
This is CNN International Breaking News.
We're breaking into our regular programming to take you to the planned live coverage of the landing of the Space Shuttle Columbia at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. You're looking now at live pictures from Columbia.
Tom Henricks, the commander of Columbia,
as
at this point is
the shuttle begins its descent
and
to Earth.
speed brake controller over on the left side of the orbiter.
Of course, it's well into its path.
Because, of course,
it's due to touch down in about 4 minutes. We are expecting to join John Holliman in Washington.
Look out the window. Let's look out the window, in fact, and see what Commander Tom Henricks and pilot Kevin Kriegel are seeing. The shuttle is in a right turn now. It's lining itself up to come down at landing strip number 33 at the Kennedy Space Center. That's the landing strip that points almost due north. And we've talked earlier about the heavy cloud cover over the Kennedy Space Center. You can see that cloud cover now from above. CNN producer Rich Phillips is on the ground, and he's looking up at it from below. One of the things that NASA will be watching closely this morning is how the pilot and commander will perform as they make the final wide turn, which is in progress right now, before landing at the Kennedy Space Center landing strip. NASA, as I say, says the landing weather is acceptable, but I told you Rich Phillips, who is at the landing strip, said a few minutes ago it was almost overcast, and now you can begin to see through the clouds from the Kennedy Space Center. And the picture on the left-hand side of your screen, you can begin to see the Indian River there. And you see on the right-hand side of your screen, a live picture of the shuttle is seen from tracking cameras on the ground at the Kennedy Space Center. Chief astronaut Hoot Gibson says we will see the astronauts in their orange landing suits. In fact, we were able to do that a few minutes ago. And we're watching this final circle as they make their final turn to landing. The runway, we were told, would look pretty small at first, but actually you can see it there at the top of your screen, looking like a white line pointing down from above, and it will get larger. What the astronauts are going to be doing during the final seconds here is pull the nose up to slow their speed, and runway 33, as I say, is the runway which faces north. If you see a bump in the next few minutes, it will be the nose wheel being lowered, and it could be something somewhat jerky as the shuttle touches the landing strip for the first time and as the braking parachute pops out of the rear. We're going to listen now to NASA commentators, including Chief Astronaut Hoot Gibson, who's talking about what's going on in the cockpit. As you see the shuttle, see the flashing lights, the shuttle is guiding on those lights. Commander Henricks is lining up with those lights to make sure he comes down on the runway.
34 seconds. Columbia descending at the rate of 165 feet per second.
And we can see the nose coming up as the pre-flare is happening, getting lined up for touchdown.
Moving pretty fast. The red and white lights on the left of your screen indicate to the pilot that his angle of attack is
Landing
just
gear
right.
down and locked. Main gear touchdown. Pilot Kevin Kriegel has deployed the drag chute. Columbia now rolling out on runway 33. Columbia now on the ground at runway 33 at the Kennedy Space Center, bringing to an end a record-setting mission. 17 days of life and microgravity science.
Houston, Columbia, wheel stop.
Roger, Tom, welcome back. Wheel stop, and congratulations on a great life science mission and a new shuttle record. And 1 immediate delta. On L1, we like rad out temp to high and stand by for further deltas.
Rad out temp to high.
4 of the astronauts on board this shuttle were human guinea pigs during this flight, and they have been hooked to various machines for most of the past 17 days. They were wired up for tests of how their bodies changed during each day they were weightless. Doctors know that muscles get weaker, body fluids float up from the legs to the head, and the immune system gets weaker. But this mission was designed to find out precisely what happens every day. The idea is to make sure future space travelers, particularly those who were up there for months and even years at a time, and how their bodies will react to all this. The picture that you're seeing live on your screen now is a group of vehicles that are coming out to safe the shuttle, make sure there are no hazardous chemicals outside. The 4 test subjects will have minor surgery after they get out of the shuttle. Muscle tissue will be taken out for a biopsy. So, that concludes our coverage of the landing of the Space Shuttle from the Kennedy Space Center. It's John Holliman in Washington, CNN reporting.
Pro Golf Weekly is proud to be associated with Callaway Golf.